This is Rudy Giuliani with America's Mayor Live. And tonight we have, I think, some developments in the Middle East, because we're getting to the point where the Biden regime has determined, for political purposes, and all that matters now in their calculation is politics, getting reelected. The best interests of the American people, they never mattered. I mean, America never came first anyway. China, Iran, Biden's clients, like, for example, Baturina. Why was she never sanctioned? She's one of the biggest oligarchs in Russia, and he likes to talk about how tough he is on Putin. Of course, he's a patsy for Putin. He never really sanctions any of the real ones. Who knows if he even enforces his sanctions? He sure as hell doesn't do it with Iran. And finally, he backs off. He won't let Ukraine win the war. I mean, I'm not sure Ukraine should win the war or shouldn't win the war. I think they should. It would be better for us. You want a sort of, if we could have everything we wanted, perspective. Of course, it would be better if Ukraine had beaten them and kept them out and put the Russians where they belong, not in control of anything, because they're too violent. On the other hand, the question is, how important is that to us? What's going on in the Middle East is more important to us, because Iran is more of an irrational threat to us than Russia. Now, Russia's a bigger threat, but the other is a more likely threat. Russia is a threat that if we had an intelligent, reasonable president with a brain, you'd be able to negotiate with. Others have. Trump can. Biden can't. Biden can't do anything in foreign policy that's right. I don't know why that is. I mean, I do know some of the reasons why, but it's uncanny that he gets everything wrong. But there's everything wrong with him. Before he was demented, he was stupid. He really doesn't understand in any way what he's doing. He has no idea what he's doing. So he gets guided around by little directorates. And the simple fact is they're not very talented either. Because if you think about it, and you agree with me that he doesn't make decisions. Do you agree with me, Ted, that he doesn't make decisions?
Oh, big
yeah, right. So we can agree. I mean, there are a whole bunch of us, right? A whole bunch of Americans would probably agree with the proposition that certainly now and for some time, Joe Biden is not really making the decisions, right? Stephen, same thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if he's not making the decisions, and we're complaining that all these decisions are wrong, right? Somebody else is making all the wrong decisions, right? That person's not demented. That person's just wrong. I mean, for example, did he decide to pull out the troops in Afghanistan first, leaving behind all the civilians so they can be killed by the terrorist groups that want to kill them? Did he decide that? Now, that was far enough back where he might have. But if he didn't, who the hell would make that decision? I mean, I don't even see ideologically how you're driven to that decision. I believe he made the decision to give back the Bagram Air Base. Nobody else would have the motive. I don't even think Obama would have the motive to do that. Obama's not getting the $31 million. I mean, that decision can only be explained by bribery. We're scurrying for an air base now 1,000 miles from China. We had one 400 miles from China. You could hit China before you even made the decision to do it. The tactical advantage of it, I don't have to stress. So somebody's making all these decisions. And Obama's a big part of it. And I think that's where you get all this very anti-Israel, anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic, from a whole group of reasons. I would say that Obama is a hell of a thing for the Jewish people who voted for him. But I think he is a bitter, nasty, angry anti-Semite. Anti-Israel for sure, anti-Jewish probably. But certainly doesn't matter because I think he wants to see the destruction of the Israeli government, which he thinks of as a colonizer, which also emphasizes the fact that many of you who think that he's very bright are exaggerating it, because that's a very bad reading of history. Whatever Israel is, it's not a colonizer. They didn't colonize the land; they were given the land in a deal, and then they captured it when they got attacked. The rest of it when they got attacked. What is happening now is a whole group of countries, and we're going to do it. We're going to do just a special thing on this next week because it's time. And I'm not can't make up my mind whether to do it separately or together. There are three countries with dictators and really evil people running them that have to make critical decisions in the next 3-4 months, maybe 2 months or 3 months, and that's Iran, China, and the fat boy, and Kim Jong-un. I still prefer diminutive comments about him because I think he's like a silly little child. When Trump comes back, he's going to make up for him. I know more about that relationship than you think, but I mean, Trump had him wrapped around his finger. Hey, Kim, I'm in the neighborhood. Want me to stop in? You stop in. Yeah. So have to decide. Do they all have objectives, right? North Korea wants. They'd like to take South Korea if they could, but I mean, I don't even know if they want to take South Korea. They just want to flex their muscles, bomb a couple of places. Iran, the Ayatollah, wants to create an Islamic empire, the Islamic Republic of Iran. They want to create the Islamic Republic of the Middle East. They've got a kind of ragtag one right now with their proxies, right? They've got a good deal of Syria. They got Lebanon. Really, they're running Lebanon. They're through the Houthis. They're running Yemen. They've got a heck of a good alliance with the Turks. That whole northern part of the Middle East, and although Yemen is in the south, the whole northern part of the Middle East, you would say, is under Iranian influence, and Iran would like to make a part of its empire. And they wouldn't mind taking the southern part, but now that they have to deal with Saudi Arabia, Israel, they used to have to deal with the United States. As long as Biden and Obama is around, well, they're on Iran's side. So they give them more money than just about anybody else. So they have to decide, do we strike now while the jackass is there? Because we're not always going to have the jackass. We're not always going to have the coward, the weakling, the traitor, and the jackass sitting in the White House. The next guy, actually, we're going to have to take time off. And even if we get a Democrat, who the hell knows if we get one that's as batty as he is? I mean, this guy, we could just slap around and have him kiss our backside. Putin proved that. Z proved that. I mean, but here's the other side of it. Let's go to China. China wants to take Taiwan. China doesn't believe it's ready to take Taiwan. China's plan, as far as I can tell, is to only take Taiwan when you're ready to take out the Pacific Fleet. It's ready to take out the American assets there because there's too much of a risk. We could end up like Russia in Ukraine in a stalemate, and they don't want to be in a stalemate. They want a victory. However, we may not get a chance. We might not get contested too heavily right now if we do it with Biden so adverse to any kind of conflict. Tough choice. Same thing with the Ayatollah. Ayatollah showed us, I think, which way he's going when he made the symbolic attack on Israel, was symbolically attacked in return, and then said, let's make peace. Basically, he's saying we're not ready yet. And they're not ready yet because they could get a nuclear weapon together in a short period of time. But they're not going to, right now in a war, even with their proxies, and even with the United States, maybe not Israel probably beats it. However, they may never again get a chance to take on Israel without the United States. And right now, who knows what he would do? So far, Biden's chosen Iran every which way. So you got these three guys trying to figure out, is there something big we can do so we take full advantage of the traitor and nitwit in the White House? Or is there something scaled back from that that's not as big, that would really eliminate completely the possibility that Biden would act? And we can grab a little something more. That's going on right now. And you can see it because Iran keeps using Hezbollah to step up the pressure. So I believe the decision by Hamas to turn down the ceasefire comes from Iran. Iran tells them, we don't want, this is too good for us. We want Israel. If Bibi wants to still fight, great, fight. After all, Iran's not dying, the Hamas are dying. They don't give a damn about Hamas. They never liked the Palestinians until now. You can't imagine what the Persians think of the Palestinian Arabs. You think of what they think about the Arabs, and then let's go down to Palestinians, who the Arabs don't think very much of. So to lose Hamas is not a big loss for Iran. To lose Hezbollah would be a big loss, and they're beginning to dial up Hezbollah. So now you have much stronger attacks back and forth. It seems to me they started with Hezbollah stepping it up. And you've got some pretty cross language going back and forth. And Israel saying, we're not going to take it much anymore. What we're talking about is Israel has military action now here. And really, does it stretch to Nazareth? Almost. They have military action here and here. Can they see that, Ted? That's the north up there. That's Hezbollah. They've displaced 100,000 Israelis, so the Israelis don't talk about it much, but it's a big deal. They've given as well as they've taken. Should I move this around a little?
Yeah, flip it around, folks, right side. Other way. Yes. Yes.
Yes, what? This way?
Other way. One more way. One more.
Yeah?
One more.
One more what?
Yep. That's right. Oh, it's right there. Yeah, and over a little bit more.
I'm having a hard time getting it there. Well, I think that right there you can see the top. Okay, this is the northern part right here, and of course that's the southern part right there. And so here's where the action is increasing. Every day, more attacks. Oh, I shouldn't say that. On and off, more attacks. To the point now where the Israelis are going to say, you want a war, you're going to get one. I don't know if Iran pulls a stop at that point, or it goes ahead and tries to get Israel engaged in a two-front war. But right now, they're testing that possibility. Meanwhile, I mean, they had the opportunity of ending the war here, meaning remember, when I say Iran is making the decisions, not Hezbollah, not Palestine. Iran is making the decisions. When Sinwar in the south here, right down here, right? When Sinwar says, I'm not taking a ceasefire, that comes from Iran. He wants a ceasefire. He needs a ceasefire. He needs one to regroup and he was negotiating for one. But Iran wants to carry this on more. They've got Israel. See, they got them tied up here with their superior forces, Hezbollah, and they keep increasing that. They got them tied up down there. So from their point of view, this is perfect. And Israel Israel is having to use up munitions, having to use up arms. They're getting to test, like a test run, test a war in both places. And Israel is taking a major political hit, particularly because its ally doesn't defend them politically or any other way. And all we've been doing for about 4 months is telling them to stop and re-emphasizing the fact that Israel kills civilians, which of course is a canard. Israel doesn't kill civilians, the Palestinians do. So I think within the next couple of weeks, we're going to see which way Iran wants to go. And it could want to go into a wider war with Israel. And I think if it does, they're going to get it. Because I don't think Israel has a choice. They can't let Hezbollah just hit them really hard and not try to take out Hezbollah, which most people think is going to be very, very difficult because Hezbollah is quite a bit more powerful than Hamas. I'm a dissenter on that. I think whenever the Israelis have been pushed to the limit by the Arabs, goodbye Arabs. I think Hezbollah, and God, I hope I'm right. I think Hezbollah is exaggerated even more than the Soviets were exaggerated. And I think Iran's exaggerated too for a ground war. Remember, they fought Iraq to a 7-year tie. Now, we may have had trouble occupying Iraq. Probably sure as heck didn't have trouble taking it over, did we? So remember, Hamas had free shooting at Israel. They shot missiles like crazy. They probably killed more of their own people with their missiles than they did the Israelis. Now, I'm not saying Hezbollah is that bad, but it's not what the left-wing press tells you it is. So let's see how that goes. Meanwhile, in Moscow, which we will get to in a minute, Putin has calculations of his own to make, and it's very interesting to watch what he's doing. So let's leave the Middle East within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're either going to see things kind of stagnate and kind of get like Ukraine and stay where they are, or we're going to see a big escalation in the north to try to get Israel into a two-front war and split them even more from the United States. And then for Biden, politically, that's the worst possibility. We'll be right back.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
So there's a lot of midnight oil being used up in the place in back of me there called the Red Square Kremlin. Have you ever been there? I mean, it really is both beautiful and frightening, though, that square. And Moscow I found to be, and I've been there 2 or 3 times, I found it to be extremely depressing, as opposed to St. Petersburg, which is, of course, about as Western a Russian city as you're going to get. Peter the Great made it that way. And I found that to be more alive and people happier. But in any event, in there right now, there's a lot of calculating going on because they've got the same calculation that the Ayatollah has and that their newest best friend does, Kim Jong-un. As you know, I think Putin and Kim met over the last several days. They announced what they call an alliance. That is, they'll defend each other if we attack North Korea, then they'll defend North Korea and vice versa. And I guess they didn't. I didn't really hadn't thought about it, but I guess they didn't have really a formal agreement before. I think there's nothing new. I think that's been a foregone conclusion since they all embraced communism. But in any event, okay, it always has been China that's been more, as we say in New York, the rabbi for North Korea. And I think the closer relationship between China and Russia means Russia can reach out like this and not irritate China the way it would have. Had this been done like 10, 20 years ago, China would not be very happy that they're moving in on their, what you call it. But now, I think they do. I mean, I think in between China and Russia, but we're doing a hell of a job of making them feel like allies. And now, they've pulled Kim Jong-un in on this. I don't know if you noticed it, but did you see the car? I don't know if I should have pulled out a picture of it. Did you see the car that Putin gave Kim Jong-un?
Oh.
It's some kind of a gigantic, it looks like a...
We're going to get that up, right?
Looks like a big Bentley or something.
Now.
And I mean, I consider Kim Jong-un like a teenager, an evil, dangerous teenager. Please, I'm not trying to underestimate the fact that he could create a nuclear war. But I think he's kind of somewhat of a frivolous person. Although getting more serious, but he loves cars. Well, I mean, this car, it looks like some kind of a oversized Bentley. I mean, it's unbelievable looking.
Let's see if we can get that car up.
And of course, it's black to scare the hell out of everybody. But Putin gave him a car, and then they literally drove it. They both drove it, but they drove it in some kind of like. See, there they are, the two of them behind the car. There's Putin. You think Biden can still drive a car? No, they show him sometimes. I wouldn't want him to do with the car what he did with the bicycle. I bet that's not an electric car. That I think I read this correctly. China contributed about 3/4 of the carbon. There it is. I didn't even see. Oh, thank you, Ted. I didn't see that. I didn't think Russia made luxury cars like that. Did you?
No. Sorry, I'm trying to get this.
In the old days, if it was made by the Soviets, it would probably right now it would stop, and you'd see all smoke coming out of it, and that's what would happen with the Russians all the time in the 50s and 60s. I think they probably stole that from London or something.
Look, I'm not mayor. I'm not
Russians didn't make that. Russians couldn't make that.
I'm not saying it's always all about us. But are they rubbing this into our face a little bit, showing how these guys that can drive around?
There's a big expose of even they're going to space first, how that was put together with glue. I mean, the guy almost died. And then, Kennedy came in and we overtook him in about a week.
It's okay.
I do not believe. If I were Kim, I wouldn't drive that car too much. It looks good. Look how slow it's going. That's probably the top speed. But in any event, they made it. Now let's not get funny. This is serious. They did make an alliance. The fact that there was a de facto alliance before that, you're going to say, well, it doesn't mean very much they did an alliance. It means a lot. It tells me a lot about how the alliance is progressing with China. Because as I said, this could not have happened if China and Russia weren't close. Particularly now, Russia needs China more than China needs Russia. Russia's not going to do anything to irritate China now. So they're not going there and making nice with China's guy, Kim Jong-un, unless China said, he's good. That's probably Russian. He's good. And so we got to take it very, very seriously, what we saw happen. And now, Putin is throwing out a lot of stuff, a lot. So he's trying to he put out a peace proposal that is not serious at all. But why would you expect it to be? He's negotiating against himself, and basically he wants all the territory that he's taken, plus he wants some that he took and Ukraine has taken back, plus he wants some that he hasn't taken. So it obviously is an unrealistic proposal. He wants the government of Ukraine to get the hell out. I'm not sure he's saying get the hell out. He's saying you haven't had an election, which they haven't. And they say, in wartime, we suspended the election. And democracies do that. I mean, I don't know. It's democracies. I don't remember ours suspending an election. We had, I think, at least, well, we had the 44 election during the Second World War, didn't we? We had a lot of elections during the Vietnam War, because it wasn't the same kind of war. But we didn't suspend elections in the First World War. So I don't know if democracies suspend elections. Democracies don't cheat in elections either. So I don't know how much moral suasion we have in talking about this. But in any event, the reality is the proposal is unrealistic, but it is a proposal. And what would you expect it to be? He's not going to come in there conceding territory to Ukraine. You're going to come in there asking for more territory. Just like Trump will go in asking for him to give half of it back or 3/4 of it back. I'm not telling you that's what Trump will do, but I'm telling you as a matter of hypothetical what would happen when you negotiate. Trump may say you got to get out, knowing that they're not going to get out, but that'll get him the most he can get. I would say you follow the Reagan principle, as you should in almost anything. Follow Reagan, and it's you get the most you can get. Stop if you can sit down and you come to the conclusion that there's no chance in the world they're going to win, meaning there's no chance in the world Ukraine is getting the Russian troops completely out of Ukraine. That whether it's Biden or Trump or somebody else, America's not going to war right now to get the Russian troops out of Ukraine. I don't think they are. I don't think there's anybody that has a stomach for that right now. So that means what you're, and Biden has effectively made that decision in the way he's given out arms to Ukraine. He hasn't given them what they need to win. Certainly given them enough money, but we know that the money's not all. I mean, unless you're too silly to really engage in this discussion, not smart enough to really understand this discussion, you realize that a good deal of the money is being stolen. It would be impossible in Ukraine that didn't happen. It would be the first time in history that didn't happen. There's too much money flying around for a bunch of oligarchs not to put their hands on it, and Zelensky comes right from them. And one of the top oligarchs was his rabbi. So the peace proposal is a start. The prisoner exchange is interesting. You know that for some time, and this is a horrible thing that they're doing. They're holding the Wall Street Journal reporter Ivan Gershowitz. Now it's over a year, and I think we saw him. We saw him make a statement. You could see he was signaling during it. I don't want to get him in trouble, but it's pretty obvious. They're not treating him well. His trial is coming up very shortly, and I have to assume. I'm looking to the Wall Street Journal here on this one. I have to assume because you know how I fight with the Wall Street Journal over a lot of policies, although, basically they're Republican and I'm Republican. I think their dislike of Trump is irrational. But in any event, I do respect the fact that they have really been in there for their reporter. I mean, they haven't. I don't know that any other newspaper would be as dedicated to getting their guy out, Ivan Gershowitz and Gershkovitz. He's only 32 years old. He's a U.S. citizen. He was on a reporting trip for the Journal in March of 2023 when he was arrested, and he's being alleged to be a spy. I think it's bull. I think. Look, this isn't the era of the Cold War where reporters would double as spies. I mean, a lot of journalists would consider that anti-journalism also. But in any event, it looks like Russia wants they want a murderer named Vadim Krasikov, who's serving a life sentence in Germany for killing a Chechen in Berlin. So the Germans are saying, if you want to kill, you don't use our territory, and we'll show you. We're going to put your guy in jail for life. Now, the Germans, that's tough, because the Germans, particularly back then, 2019, depended on Russia quite a bit. So that was quite a principled stand they took in taking the guy. But would it be worth trading him? I mean, they'd be doing us a favor for Ivan Gershowitz. I just quickly assessing it in my little head. Yeah, I think so. The guy's not going to go around like the people that Biden brings to the United States, raping little girls and killing mothers. The guy's a professional killer. He can do professional hits. The Chechen that he terrorist, sort of like, the honorable mafia hitmen who, I had one guy that testified for me, and I asked him how he could do it. I mean, he actually had exactly 13 hits. And of course, there was an awful lot of dark humor about that. And he had an unbelievable memory, and he could distinguish between right and wrong. And I said, doesn't it haunt you? I mean, it has to haunt you at some point. He said, they were all part of the same organization. I mean, we all bought into that. I said, well, some of the people you hit could have been a mistake. They weren't really ratting. He said, yeah, well, you take that risk. I didn't kill civilians. So I don't know much about this guy's background, but I mean, we give away a lot for hostages. Look, Israel, I think, is wrong to do that, to give up thousands for one. Because I think it creates unbelievable expectations, and it puts people like Sinwar back out there to kill you. But in any event, look how far they'll go. So chalk up a big IOU. If it's hope. There also was a journal today that's a lot of Russian reporting about how I should have really tied it in with my earlier statement on how our enemies are all helping Russia. Meaning China and Iran and North Korea. Part of the meeting was also to get more arms to usually work the other way around. Russia would supply the arms for North Korea. Well, it's working the other way around now. So we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at what's going to happen 1 week from tonight. The debate. Ooh, can you put air conditioning on for a minute?
We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Well, welcome back to America's Mayor Live. Well, a week from today, Biden and Trump will debate again. And probably one of the more important debates in American presidential elections, largely because of the questions about Biden's capacity and competence, which, you know, you can analyze many different ways. Does he have a very low bar to achieve? Does that help him? In a way it does, right? I mean, last time I thought, even then people expected him to, just lose it. You know, was where I put thing. Back then, he was on television reading the comics when Franklin Roosevelt was dead for 3 or 4 years before, and he never did it. It was LaGuardia, and it was on radio. Or he gave that talk about how he likes the little children to touch the hair on his legs in the pool. He was even indicating some evidence of being a pervert, right? As well as demented. How about a demented pervert, right? Who's a pervert and gives it up because he's demented. Now, I'm not saying any of that's true. I'm just saying he gave indications of that. And I remember doing a podcast with 2 doctors in anticipation of the debate to talk about how bad the dementia was. And they had slightly different opinions. Neither one of them disputed the fact that he had dementia. I mean, you really got to be... I don't know what you got to be not to realize he has dementia, but blind and dumb and because you get the right. So very, very strangely, Biden won the toss. And one would think immediately he'd pick going last. How much difference is there one side or the other? I don't know. I've seen Biden. Biden looks like a zombie on the right side, on the left side, and straight on. When he goes zombie, he goes zombie. Right? And you can see him. Right side, left side, I don't even think he knows the difference. But he picked the side that he wanted on. I think the right side. I don't think that's any at all about looking better. Here's what I think it is. I think it's another proof of his dementia. He's gonna prepare more than anybody ever prepared for a debate ever. He's been doing it already for 3 days. He's got 7 more. They don't want him to get up there having practiced on the right side and being switched over to the left side, because he may start looking the wrong way. They and how much in this period it's not going to get better. I'm sure they're going to manage it with the maximum amount of medicine they can. You can see they do that because you see certain times looking tolerable. People will say during the State of the Union speech, he was tolerable. He was only tolerable because the bar is down here. I mean, he was yelling and screaming. I mean, normal situation. And we sure as hell haven't had that for a long time, but normal situation where you just judge that straight out. That was a terrible speech. The president is supposed to uplift the American people. He goes and yells at them for an hour and 10 minutes. Yells and screams and shows no humor, shows nothing, no wisdom. However, he didn't go blank for a half hour. He didn't trip like he sometimes does. He didn't start talking about dead people that he's talking to. So that was a victory for him. So can he get through the debate that way? I will say they have had sitting down. And they have had some way you can sit down or you can sit on one of those chairs and get up and sit down and get up. But if you can do just one debate, and of course it's so obvious why he wants to sit down, because he's going to get tired, and that might affect if he can remember where he is. There are going to be breaks during it. Usually a presidential debate under the rules of the presidential committee, it's, I think, an hour and a half right straight through, or is it 2 hours? I don't remember. An hour and a half, I think, right straight through. No breaks, no commercials, no breaks. Boom. You want to take it, NBC, CBS, whatever, you got to take it without commercial break, because you don't want the conflict of somebody, sponsoring it, not sponsoring it, whatever. So, I mean, under normal circumstances, you handicap this one pretty easily. Trump will wipe the floor with him. Trump, for all the garbage about he just doesn't remember, just like Biden. That's ridiculous. Trump has the normal and usual mistakes and lapses that a 40-year-old could have. You get two places confused. Do all the time. He's talking to dead people, or come off an airplane in Cambodia and think he's in Colombia, or he doesn't fall going up steps. In fact, I've never seen someone fall going up steps. So you can do all you want to try to equalize this in the minds of the American people. The guy who's got the burden here is Biden, but what has he got to do to satisfy him? I mean, under the best of circumstances, when he was not demented, he was stupid. He could fake it in a debate, but really only if you were a Democrat and willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. He was universally acknowledged as the dumbest man in the Senate. And his co-cabinet member, Gates, I think did that because he knew that the idiot had presidential ambitions and didn't think this country should have such a stupid president. Or maybe he knew he was a crook. I don't know. But Gates said an extraordinary thing about him, that he's never in his entire career made the right decision about foreign policy. And strangely, although that sounds like hyperbole, right? It's true. I'm not going to go through all the decisions, but my goodness. Wow. Well, as long as we're on politics, and before we get off it, Ted and Stephen and I are very interested in the race that's McGuire and Good. Good is the bad one, and McGuire's the good one. I endorse McGuire, and I see my friend Steve Bannon endorsed Good. He had Good on tonight. I tell you, Mr. Good, you looked awful. Whoa, you better do something about your First of all, you look like a Democrat, not a Republican. You had that kind of weaselly look. And you had a shirt on that was like half this way and half that way. And you look really upset. It's getting to you, huh? And you're accusing him of cheating. I don't know how a challenger in a district that you're the incumbent in, how they cheat. I mean, candidates really don't cheat. People have to cheat for them. You got to have an in with the. I mean, so where did the Democrats do their cheating in places where they're dictators? They do it in dictatorships, just the way the Soviets cheat. New York City, Manhattan in particular, is a democratic dictatorship. Except for the few years that I was mayor, Bloomberg, go back to LaGuardia. I mean, we had 3 Republican mayors in 100 years. So you get an idea of what kind of dictatorship it is. And they run everything. The judges are all beholden to the Democratic politicians, which is why you see that you get a Soviet-style trial in New York. Or you get treated that way by the Bar Association. And look, think of the places we're talking about. And even the places where the cases are brought. New York, District of Columbia, and maybe the most crooked place of all, Fulton County, Georgia. Now, Florida is an accident. And did you hear the news tonight that the chief judge went to the judge in that case and asked her to recuse herself at the very beginning? We're trying to get her off the case right away. My goodness. I mean, that's the one Republican involved in the entire frame operation. And they want her out. I mean, they have 3 other cases to frame them with. And she's really upset that Smith is lying to her. Why would anybody be surprised that Smith is lying to her? That's what he did. The Supreme Court tells you. That's why the crooked attorney general selected him, because he's a liar and a thief. All you have to do is read the Supreme Court opinion to figure. So what the think means he's a really, on the other hand, he has at times been exceedingly anti-Trump on a personal basis, on a nasty basis. He also, supported DeSantis, but not just supported him. A lot of people supported DeSantis who are supporting Trump now, including DeSantis. But he was very personal, and his opponent McGuire is quite a candidate. He's a Navy SEAL, an enormously successful businessman, not a political hack of any kind. So Trump endorsed him, and so did I. But my friend Steve Bannon, I guess because of the old conservative tie, stayed with Bob Good. And now McGuire leads with 98% of the vote counted by 370 votes. And Good is making like there was cheating. And I really doubt that sounds like a desperation move. It also tells me that the final vote is going to end up in McGuire's favor. We have any more word on it, Ted?
We just have a so I don't know how many votes are outstanding. We think about 1,800, but that's not necessarily
still at 98%.
Yeah, but they actually say over 95%. They leave themselves this opening, so we don't really know how many votes are outstanding, which is strange.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would have thought if they're going to cheat, they cheat for the incumbent. I mean, that the incumbent would have the tie-in with the people counting the vote more than the challenger. Of course, there are exceptions to that, but do they have any? So essentially, he has a 0.05% lead. Is there any indication when they're going to finish? They intend to do a Pennsylvania, like count until the guy they want to win wins?
It could be weeks.
Why
till they're
would it be
finished.
a week?
It could be weeks.
Do you really-
Weeks, not just a week. Weeks.
I mean, that is absurd. And of course, it leads to whether there's cheating or not. It leads to, and I don't care who wins now at this point on that one, it leads to complete public lack of confidence in the election. The election should be decided next morning. Where it is honor and integrity to the election process. So the vote is counted by dawn the next day. If they can do it in France, in the entire country, in 4 hours or 5 hours, and the bitter political parties there are comfortable with it and have been now for quite some time, that then we should be able to do it. Now, you should understand that in Europe, they've basically completely rejected absentee ballots. And most of them have done it because of scandals with absentee ballots. I mean, the Democrats know all this, which is why they have suckered you into, endless voting period and paper and mail in, not in person paper ballots. 75% of the European countries have basically banned it, and a number of them because of terrible experiences with it, including France. And look how quickly, I mean, they're going to are independent about that. I once told Prince Andrew, I told him, when we walk over to Ground Zero, we may pass a statue of Nathan Hale. Don't take a good look at it because you guys killed him. But actually, he was actually okay. I mean, I don't know about all the stuff he's involved in, but he was very nice to me. And of course, the Queen was wonderful. Anti-Semitism is just completely inundating America, right? And does it shock you like it shocks me? I thought we were past this. I thought we were past anti-Semitism. I guess that was naive, huh? Now I remember in the early 2000s going to Vienna, heading a delegation of of like 3 boys raped a 13-year-old girl because she's Jewish. And the leaked, off-the-record motive. So I don't know how this comes from Le Parisien. So we don't know, if this is true or not, but at least here's something to think about. One of the suspect of the 12 was the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend of the 12-year-old girl. And he found out that she had concealed from him the fact that she was Jewish. So he took his 2 friends and they went and they beat her up and raped her using all kinds of anti-Semitic language. And now, look, the only thing I can say about that is they're as crazy in France as they are in America, right? I mean, I'm not going to get up on my high horse about this because look at what happened in Casino Park, Queens. And I don't know. What I want to know is who are we talking about here? Who are these 12, 13, and 14-year-olds? Are they like they turn out to be now in this country more often than we would like to think? People invited in and brought in by Joe Biden. meaning illegal aliens. They have an unbelievable illegal alien problem in France, which is the reason why Macron called an election. And they're going through the same thing in England. Immigration is the main issue in the election, in which the conservatives are getting ripped in that election because they were like our rhinos, soft on immigration. So we're not hearing enough about this. It took place in Nanterre, and the prosecutor has confirmed, although he hasn't confirmed the motive, he's confirmed that it was specifically based on her being Jewish. That there's enough evidence to convince him of that. Don't know about the motive part. So we'll be right back, and we'll take a look at our own problems in the what's becoming now an epidemic of illegal alien crimes, and particularly sexually perverted crimes. We'll be right back. Delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. Delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes. Okay. Back. So, welcome back to America's Mayor Live. And when Joe Biden begins a sentence like this, right away, you got a signal. And if you haven't caught up with this, you're not covering American politics carefully enough. Folks, I'm not interested in playing politics with the border or with immigration. I'm interested in fixing it. You know that he is playing politics and that he's not interested in fixing it because he lies all the time. And he does Orwellian lies, which is he tells you the opposite of what he's going to do. And then he blames on the other side what he did wrong. So Biden, will blame Trump for the 12 million illegal criminals running around the country, or whatever number they are, some percentage of the 12 million, a bigger percentage than you'd like to think, largely because they came in a very different way than they used to come in. I find it totally offensive that people like Adams and the New York Times and play this Statue of Liberty thing on us, We're a country of immigrants, and we're yeah, damn, of course they came in legally, or whatever the law passed for the law then. And they work like hell, and they weren't given credit cards, and they weren't given places to live. They weren't signed up to vote immediately, although maybe Boss Tweed did. I don't know. I mean, Democrats have been cheating for so long, it's hard to remember a time they weren't. but it was a totally different thing. And they'd send you back if they didn't like you. And they'd keep you until you were safe and not sick, or send you back. You didn't have a right to be here. And then you had to earn your place here by working hard. And they were quite something, all those immigrants. Because something was expected of them. There was accountability. These people come in with the aid of one of the biggest criminal organizations in the world, who self-select an enormous number of people to help them do their business. They begin coming in telling you the first thing you need to know about why they Jewish Americans. They break the law. Now, to get we don't have to be mean to them. Like, we don't have, we're much better off with people who come here who have at least been house trained, in the sense that they know they have to follow the law. Actually, we're best off having people come here know why they're coming here. And it's for reasons to help us, because they agree with our principles and are firmly rooted in those principles, or are easily going to be persuaded to be. But when we're no longer persuaded of those principles, when our leadership is spending its time attacking our country, we don't even have that working for us. I mean, they agree with the people who come in here hating us, right? We have a president that says we're systemically racist, which means that most of the people they're going to meet in the United States hate black people if they're white. Well, that's not true. That's not even close to true. This country actually is a very unusual country in dealing with slavery and racism. Yeah, we had it. The Democratic Party is one of the reasons that it stayed so long. One of the reasons why the vestiges of it remain so bad. I mean, probably there's no other institution that contributed more to it than the party that Joe Biden represents, including in latter years, as Malcolm X said, the worst enemy of the black people is the white liberal. However, the reality is that people that come here should be selected, and they should be selected because they can improve us. They can help us. They don't have a right to be here. We do not have an obligation to parcel out the spots based on some kind of a false notion of equity. Our obligation is to protect our own people and to parcel out the spots in a way that helps our people, helps them grow, not to parcel them out so they come in here like the ones Biden has recently invited, the who knows how many millions, who are being let out of prisons in Venezuela, where crime has gone down 60 or 70%. I mean, Joe Biden is personally responsible, we know, for the death of Laken Riley. He's also personally responsible for the death of Rachel Marin. And he's personally responsible for the attack on the two 13-year-olds in Queens last week. I mean, that was a terrible attack. Two teenagers, two 13-year-olds, a boy and a girl, returning from school. And this, as quoting Donald Trump, this animal who Joe Biden, what in this country. And of course, I mean, this guy, if I have it correct, this guy came in with a kid. So there you go, boy. All the hormones start working now. We'll let him in no matter what. Oh, he's got a kid. Wow. Let him in. Will anybody check the fact that he's a criminal? He comes in illegally. He's told to leave. He doesn't. He ends up in Queens because he probably was one of those airplanes that Biden had to send people up to Westchester Airport or Newark Airport. And then, tragically, he sees these two kids coming home last week from school and probably was laying in wait for him because he had his machete with him. Took his machete, stuck it at them, pushed them into the brush or into the wooded area of the park, tied their hands, roughed up the boy, took his knife, slashed the clothes of the girl, and raped her. And then they caught him a week later because of the very, very smart, intelligent, level-headed description the kids gave of him, including noticing the tattoo that he had. And the picture was so good that people that live in that area of Queens, several of them recognized him. And one of them in particular recognized him going to this delicatessen and waited for him all day. And when they got him yesterday, of course, he looks like he was beaten up pretty bad. But the first one, I believe, to tackle him is this young lady right here. Well, first of all, congratulations to you for doing that, because not a lot of people, people nowadays don't get involved in situations like this. So I am very, very proud. I'm very proud of you for doing that. And then she was helped by another young man, and they held the guy, and his name is Christian Giovanni Inga Landi, and he came here about 3 years ago, I think. I think that's right. I think he came about 3 years ago. And there you see him. You see the little creep there. It's I don't know. I don't know why and how, and we let this happen. I don't understand. I don't understand how Mayorkas and Biden. I don't understand how they rationalize this as parents. But I mean, you look at what a lousy parent Biden is, what a lousy grandfather he is, right? Not even meeting his little granddaughter. I guess the two people that get the credit, I want to make sure I have their names correct, are Jeffrey Flores, who is the one who stayed at the deli for a number of hours waiting for the animal to show up. And then the young lady is Angela Soretti. That's the young lady that we're showing her picture. And this is what an animal looks like. In case you ever hopefully don't meet up with them. That's the face of an animal. That's the face of someone who not only slashes the clothes off a 13-year-old innocent girl, but says he videotaped it as he began to feel more confident. He's only here because of Joe Biden. You vote for Joe Biden, you're out of your mind. You're completely out of your mind. This doesn't happen with Trump. There's no way this happens with Trump. This doesn't happen with Obama. Nobody's let in as many people as this guy's let in. And nobody's let him in with so little vetting. I mean, there was an article, a couple of articles last week that they don't even know how to vet anymore. Meaning knowing how to pick out the wheat from the chaff, which agents develop an instinct for and an ability to do. Of course, this just comes right on the heels of Rachel Marin, who was killed in Maryland by a guy who came in Four times. Four times. Four times. Four times. He was ordered out of the country, but nobody made sure he left. So that's Hernandez right there. He's the second animal who killed Rachel Marin. Now he gets in the country, or gets back in the country, and it's a little bit confused here, because they say he got back in the country undetected the last time. So he's in a category that you should know more about, that we should all know more about. It's the category of don't see it all. So you have the people that get arrested and let out. Biden lets them all out. You have the people that are gotaways, they observed but not registered in any way. And there are a couple million of those. But then there are, you never see them. So be so important. That for the ones they get the most. We're going to take a look at just exactly how much this has spread and what it means in the right sense politically, because this is a political issue of the most important kind. It's a political issue that relates to the safety of you and your children all over America. This isn't just Texas, Arizona, and California anymore. And you're going to say, oh, that's because of Abbott. No way. Most of at best, Abbott moved about 4 or 5% of the people. They're all moved by Biden. They were caught last year, or even a year and a half ago, sending planes up here and denying it. What a bunch of evil demons. We'll be back. Oh, you got to get me a...
We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50%, and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. I just wanted to make sure we were correct on Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez. He is the one who killed Rachel Marin. Now, he came in 3 times, and the 4th time he came in undetected. But pretty shortly after that, he was in Los Angeles, and he did a home invasion in which he brutally beat, in this case, a 12-year-old and her mother, and was wanted for that. And got his DNA. So eventually, after he raped and murdered Rachel Marin, they were able to pick up DNA there, and after a fairly short period of time, connect the two together. And then eventually, they caught him, and he's being extradited back to Maryland now. And I meant to check, and I don't think they do because they're a liberal state. I wanted to see if they had the death penalty, because that would be a really good deterrent to these animals if you could execute them. And also see the liberals wiggle around with that. I mean, here they bring them in here, and then, you know, they let our women and children get assaulted by them and do nothing about it. I mean, it's very, very simple. The Democrat Party can't protect the women and children of America. In fact, they put them at risk with their open border policy. Their open border policy is a clear and present danger to young children in this country. And I just gave you 2 cases. There are plenty more cases, and I have to tell you, a lot of them are hidden. And we're going to try really hard to even do a better job of pulling them out, because they do things like the press doesn't tell you that they're illegal migrants. Even in New York, I got one now that I'm running down because I'm almost certain it's an illegal migrant. Now the Marin family took off after Mayorkas, because Mayorkas, in the cold, cruel way of Biden, like when he wouldn't say the name Lincoln Riley, and when he finally got challenged to do it because he's a child, and he was bluffed into it by Marjorie Taylor Greene, displayed his demented behavior by reading the name wrong and calling her Lincoln Riley, for which he's never apologized, because he doesn't have to apologize, just like he doesn't have to go to jail for taking bribes. And because he's a Democrat, and he's an important Democrat, and he's in the golden circle of people who don't get prosecuted, just the way communists don't get prosecuted in communist countries. So Mayorkas, Mayorkas, I was going to say, is the biggest liar in his administration. They all are. How do you get much worse than KJP, right? But I guess she lies for a living. Mayorkas doesn't have to lie for a living. So Mayorkas said about this horrendous murder, first and foremost, of course, our hearts break for the children, the loved ones, and the friends of the individual who was murdered, the woman, the mother. The mother of Rachel Marin, noticed that she's like this impersonal individual, woman and mother. No. She has a name. Or she did when she was living, and she's going to have one for eternity, you miserable, evil little creep. Her name is Rachel Marin. And the mother says it totally depersonalizes her and makes her an object, said Patty. He was a Salvadoran gang member, Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez, here courtesy of Joe Biden. The other one, Inger Landy, is from Ecuador. And he entered an Eagle Pass back in 2021 using a child to, as I said, get everybody hormonal. We got to let him in because he's got a child. Got to let the child in. No, we don't. No, we don't. We have a lot of children in this country that need help. Children who don't have parents. Children who have serious difficulties. Our obligation is to them, not to whoever the cartels want to give us. And also, what we've done is, under Biden, and this is not made enough of, we have become the leading country in the world for human trafficking. Wow. A lot of these kids, are coming in to be used. You're not getting a chance to dream, jackass. But if you want to dream, you got to follow the law. And if you didn't, then you got to go back and learn how to follow the law, and then you can come back in. We don't have time or really concerns for safety are just too much to experiment like this with the whole world coming in and we don't know who they are. Particularly when we got terrorists who want to bomb us and China who wants to take us over, and we're letting all them in. I mean, would you like to calculate how many spies we've let in? The Chinese, Biden reduced the questions to 4. Full question. You're really going to, pick out the spies that way, Joe?
Yeah.
Hustle.
Yeah.
Texas Christian Hospital. I don't know if you saw this, but I think Steve Bannon had him on tonight, Dr. Ham. Dr. Ham is going to be prosecuted. He's going to be prosecuted because he turned in the Texas Christian Hospital for billing falsely gender-affirming care on Medicaid. In other words, mutilation. Texas has a law against doing it. It's not supposed to be paid for by you. And not only that, this is not the first time that's happened. There have been previous allegations before Ethan Ham allegation, and they want to prosecute him because of the HIPAA laws, the privacy laws with regard to you and me as patients. Well, first of all, he didn't give up the name of the people, the patients. He gave the name of the doctors. Not covered by HIPAA. Sorry, doctors. You don't get to chop off genitals and not get identified. And Texas Hospital, you don't get to do it either. And apparently they've got a history of this. And I'm trying to find the name of the other person. Oh, and a whistleblower who came forward at that hospital was threatened by the FBI. I mean, the FBI, this may be the same unit that goes after Catholics who go to Latin Mass, the organized crime unit. I haven't been to Latin Mass in a while, but I'm going to go soon. But I have to tell you, I enjoy it. I even have a Latin missal next to my bed, and I occasionally read Latin because I find it relaxing. I know you want to put me in jail for the rest of my life, but there's another reason, okay? I kind of would like that reason because I think it would help me get into heaven. I could be like a martyr. Put me in jail because I went to a Latin Mass. It'd be like when I was a kid, I read those stories about all the martyrs,
My dad said that Mass only used to be said in Latin.
Of course. In fact, there was a great, the name of the church is Catholic. Now, do you know the root of that? I think is Greek through Latin. You know what that means? It means universal. Catholic means, Catholicom means universal. So it is supposed to be the universal church. So when I was a young boy being taught the Catholic religion by the nuns, and which is a bit of a brutal experience, I may add, one of the things they were very proud of is every Sunday, starting, the first 24-hour cycle, the Mass is being said in every place in the world in the same language. So in Germany, they're listening to the same Masses in Japan, in Italy, in America. It all began introibo ad altare Dei. We enter the altar of God. Those were the beginning words of the Mass. I was an altar boy and would have to memorize and repeat the responses. I mean, you can. I don't know what it has to do with political anything that you like the Latin Mass. I mean, you might just think that the Latin language is a beautiful language. A lot of people do. A lot of people love Latin. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful language. I always say it's a language with words without an end, because many of their active verbs and words end with a vowel, and vowels are beautiful to sing because they're unending sounds. A, O, and so as opposed to N. You look at the Latin language, Italian language too, which is why it is so popular for opera, because you can take the last syllable of a word that's at the end of a stanza, right? And sing it to your heart's content.
That's a good
That's
point.
that's me.
I've never had it broken down that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a beautiful, Latin is a beautiful language. I mean, there are languages that are harsh. There are languages that have
It's like we're not even talking.
no such in Latin. You don't have to. Now, interesting. If you were to listen and if the Passion of the Christ is correct, guttural Latin spoken in the first century has it was very surprising to me to listen to Latin in that movie. But you should, I don't know if you remember, but the Passion of the Christ, and it doesn't detract from the movie at all. In fact, it adds to it. There's just about no words in English. The Romans speak Latin. The Jews and others speak Aramaic. Not even Hebrew. And there is Hebrew also because the rabbis speak Hebrew. So you've got three languages, and one of them is the best they could do with what was guttural Latin of the first century, meaning not Latin for the scholars, but Latin because that's the language they spoke, Latin. And it had a bit of a guttural sound. Don't get angry at me. It sounds a little like Portuguese, which isn't quite as beautiful as Italian. And there's a reason for that. Italian is the closest language to Latin. Italian is the street version of Latin spoken in Florence in the 13th, 14th century and written for the first time by Dante Alighieri in the Divine Comedy. He took the Latin language, and instead of writing the book in Latin, the poem in Latin, which he should have, because everybody wrote in Latin, he decided to write it in what passed for Italian, which was street Latin. So now all the other Latin languages move one degree away, right? So I would say, if I were doing it, I would say that, Italian is the closest to Latin, probably Spanish, maybe Portuguese, maybe French, and then Romanian. And then other languages that have heavy Latin influence, English, 30%, 40%, particularly the vocabulary more than the structure. So, I mean, they all think we're deplorables, don't they? But we're smarter than they are, and we're better educated, and we have discipline, and they don't. They don't. And they've all become godless, and they've become communists, and they run our country. So that's why you got to pay attention to the election. No fooling around this time. No fooling around, or all the hospitals will be doing gender changing surgery and not telling you about it. Your kid will go away to school, a boy, and come home a girl, and you'll have nothing to say about it because why? It's completely Marxist. Don't think I'm crazy. I'm not. I'm going to tell you why it's Marxist. Because what they're telling you is the child is the property of the state. That is exactly what that swine McAuliffe meant when he blew the election for governor, when he said that parents didn't know much about education, so the state should decide. Yeah, that's what Hitler said too, and Stalin, and Marx, and Mao. And man, they've sold that, haven't they? That our kids are the property of the state. Because if they weren't, nobody would ever even think that you could touch a child without the permission of the parent. And I'm glad I'm not. I mean, you're not touching my granddaughter without their parents' permission. I'll tell you that. As I said on my show this afternoon, also, transgender this, transgender that. They don't tell you about the transgender woman the other day who was arrested for killing her parents in Utah. Just like they don't put out all the notes from the transgender killer who attacked the Christian school. This is a completely censored country. We could easily be, there's an article by Neil Ferguson saying, are we Soviets? Have we gone over the line? Are we fighting to prevent ourselves from becoming like the Soviets, or have we gone over the line? His conclusion is we've gone over the line, and we got to fight to bring it back. And if you want to look at children as property of the state, if you want to look at the tax system, if you want to look, which is a command system, you have nothing to say about it. If you want to look at God, they've driven God so far out of America, it's pathetic. I mean, God gave us our rights according to our founders, but we can't even mention his name now. And we could go on and on and on, and we will. And you'll come back to us tomorrow, I hope. And tomorrow will be our last show at 3. We're moving to 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock, 2 hours on Frank's 7 to 8, on here 8 to 9, and it'll be good because we'll be able to in one show. My thought is we would spend time taking 2 or 3 subjects, maybe 4, depending on the complexity of them, that are relevant for that time, and having a little more time to go over them. And then the America's Mayor show will be exactly the way it is now, where we will endeavor to get to you everything that is kept from you, either completely kept from you or kept from you in terms of the distortion with which it is covered. And we're going to add in, finally, we've been promising it, we're going to add in telephone calls. So you can call and we can have interesting discussions. And then I have another surprise that we're going to add, but I'll tell you about that maybe tomorrow or the beginning of next week. One other surprise, one other thing we're going to be doing that I think you're really going to like. So please pray for the people of Israel. The war's getting wider, I think. That's how we began the show. And I think I'll remind you that when we leave. Pray for the people of the United States. What we're going through, founding fathers thought this might happen, but they hope it wouldn't. It is happening. And God bless America.
Bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.
And the VP candidate